Hola, señoras y señores. Mi nombre es Bruce. Hablamos de España y Bélgica el viernes en Los Angeles. Hey, everybody. I'm Bruce Marshall. It's time for Spain and Belgium quarterfinal action of the World Cup Friday in Los Angeles, also known as Inglewood. And at the Rams and Chargers SoFi Stadium, they call it Los Angeles Stadium for the World Cup, of course. And kickoff time 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 noon Pacific. Winner gets France, which was very impressive on Thursday, getting past Morocco, and that'll be a semifinal matchup next Tuesday in Dallas. So we'll probably be talking about that one early next week. We'll get to this Spain Belgium matchup here in just a second. First of all, though, a couple of quick housekeeping reminders. As always, don't forget, click that subscribe button on the screen right there. Make sure you get all of our Wager Talk TV videos. And don't forget, special offer going on right now. We've had this going on for a while, and it's a pretty good deal. A lot of folks are happy with it. All of my picks, that's 3 days of my picks for $69. We'll add another 3 days free on top of that. That's 6 days for $69 of all of my picks. Having a good run in Major League Baseball. World Cup's been going fine as well. Good deal. Check it out. 3 days, $69. We'll add 3 days free on top of that. That's 6 days for $69. And don't forget, football's coming up pretty soon. Stay tuned for more information. Okay, let's take a look at World Cup action on Friday in Los Angeles, Inglewood. And as you can see from the crawl at the bottom of the screen, Spain is a pretty prohibitive favorite here to advance into the semifinals. And we'll be talking, if that's the matchup with France, there's a lot to talk about there, but they've got to get over this hurdle first against Belgium here in LA, where both of these sides have played already in the World Cup, so it's familiar territory for both in recent weeks. As you can see from the crawl at the bottom of the screen, though, prices here pretty prohibitive in Spain's favor, especially just to advance, as you see. Big price just to advance, and that goes through 90 minutes if they have to go into penalty kicks and whatever. Minus 334 thereabouts, and Belgium about plus 250 to advance. 90-minute results, and we'll concern ourselves with those and prices on those. Spain also a fairly heavy favorite here, though a little bit more reasonable at minus 154 in the 90-minute result, as you can see crawling across the bottom of the screen there. Belgium at plus 425. The draw priced at plus 290, and the total at 2.5, shaded very slightly to the over at minus 125 and the under right there at even money. Interesting alternate total there, under 1.5 goals at plus 300. So we might talk about that more in a second. What do we got here in this matchup? First of all, historically, this is a rematch, and they have run into each other in the World Cup before. They did in 1990 and in Italy. Most famously, 1986 quarterfinal matchup, and this was in Mexico. In Mexico, 1986, a match that went into extra time and then to penalty kicks. Spain tied the match up late, about the 84th minute, goal by one Senor. And then this thing went all the way into penalty kicks. Belgium survived, and that meant Belgium faced Diego Maradona and Argentina in the semifinals in Mexico City a few days later, and preventing Spain, which thought it would have a chance, and a lot of people thought Spain might have been the team to beat in 1986, from its shot at Maradona and Argentina in the semifinals. Maradona scored a couple of goals in that match, 2-0 over Belgium, and of course we know what happened in the final against West Germany. But so a little bit of score to settle here for Spain, 40 years on, and they are favored to do so. Of course, Belgium comes in here hot off of that big win on Monday night up in Seattle against the USA. And, well, I'm sure we've heard a lot about what's going on with the USA and how disappointing that was, but it just looked like Belgium, for a variety of reasons, was very focused, extra focused on that matchup, and really just took the USA apart, controlling midfield, exposing all those holes in the U.S. defense, and really showing lack of spine that the U.S. team had this World Cup. Unfortunately for the Americans, but a good deal for Belgium. And considering where Belgium had been earlier in the tournament, not all that impressive in the first round, had to get a result, probably a win in that final matchup against New Zealand. And they finally kicked into gear in the second half, 5-1. Desperate trouble against Senegal in the first round, the knockout round at 32 up in Seattle, scoring twice in the last 4 minutes of regulation to get that thing into extra time, and then the penalty, of course, in the 119th minute and Yuri Tillemans converting from the spot. So Belgium survived that and then cruised against the USA. Have they played themselves into this tournament? Perhaps so. And it was interesting what Rudy Garcia has done with his lineup here. He pulled Kevin De Bruyne, the veteran midfielder, part of that golden generation, one of the few guys left from it, early in the Senegal match, and he didn't even feature in the USA match. Jeremy Doku did not start in the USA match, came on late, but he's been dealing with some injury problems. I do think Garcia, though, has figured out a way, the best way to use Romelu Lukaku, who's having a pretty good tournament. 3 goals. Now, he, of course, missed most of the season through injury at Napoli, and he is not really ready to go a full 90 minutes or more. That one match that Garcia started, Lukaku, didn't work out too well in the second match against Iran, but he is effective coming off the bench, 3 goals in the tournament. Also, there is the interesting optic here. We've seen this a couple of times in the World Cup, where in a Spain match, the Real Madrid players on the pitch are going to be on the other side, won't be on the Spain side. In this match against Belgium, very familiar in goal, Thibaut Courtois. And he's been at Real Madrid for several years. He's won a couple of Champions Leagues at the Bernabeu. He's Belgian, though, so he will be in the Belgium goal, and he's been there the last 4 World Cups for Belgium. So they have come into it pretty nicely, and that early on in the USA game, those 2 goals in the first half by De Ketelaere, very impressive. He dunked on Tim Ream, that second goal, that header that put Belgium back in front after the score temporarily went to 1-1. But he'd only scored 3 goals at Atalanta this season, so I don't know that he's that much of a threat. Listen here, Spain, though, is in position, and a lot of people think this is the only team that might be able to slow down France. I think that's a possibility. They got to get by this one first. They're doing it a little bit differently in this World Cup than they did in the Euros 2 years ago. A lot more direct that year, and flying down the wings. The width was really good, and that's because you had Nico Williams and Lamine Yamal providing speed and pace down the wings there, and it just opened up the field a lot more. Well, we've talked about Spain before, and Nico Williams has had these injury problems all year at Athletic Bilbao, got hurt again in the first round, probably won't feature, and he was out of form, so I think we can forget about Williams. Not even sure he's going to play, but he's certainly not been contributing the way he was 2 years ago. And Lamine Yamal doesn't quite look 100% yet either. He came in with that hamstring issue. He really needs like a full court game. He needs to be able to run the full field. If everything is just half the field with Spain trying to break down opposing low blocks there, he can try some ball tricks and things, but he hasn't been working all that well. But he is playing his way into the tournament. The most encouraging thing, I think, for Spain was Rodri coming back from his injury late in the season at Manchester City, and not really convincing that much in the group phase. But in the knockout phase here, looking a little bit better. And certainly he was bossing the action against Portugal, a match where both sides didn't give the other much room to breathe. That's a lot different than we saw with Belgium against the USA. But Rodri controlled that match. And if he's back to his old Ballon d'Or form from 2 years ago, it bodes very well for Spain. What else will Spain be trying to do here? The ball control here, this in a way looks a little bit like some of the older Spain sides there, the Del Bosque sides and Luis Enrique, just the tiki-taka and the ball possession, but that's working very well also for Spain defensively. The other team just isn't on the ball that much, and that's why nobody has scored in 5 matches on Spain, and Unai Simon in goal is working on a record scoreless minute streak in goal in the World Cup. It's actually now 6 straight matches in the World Cup back to the 2022 knockout round loss to Morocco that was 0-0 before it went to overtime. That since Spain has allowed a goal, a lot of it is because they do possess the ball so well, and that's the possession game there. And they have a lot of ball winners on the pitch too, including those guys out on the top. You talk about Oyarzabal and what he can do scoring, but I think what he does defensively too, and his comrades there, they win the ball back a lot. So it's very tough to get something going against Spain. What do I think is going to happen here? I think Spain advances. Now, that's not a big surprise. Do we like the price enough? That's a pretty heavy price. Is there a better alternative? Do we look at the Asian line? Do we look at the spread? The spread's not much of a difference on the price. Asian line, a little bit difference. I just go with that minus 154, 155. Just go with it. I think Spain is going to win. I would also play this match under. 2.5 under get you an even money, and I think that's probably the way to look here. The way Simone has been playing, the way the defense has been going for Spain, and Courtois playing pretty well the other way for Belgium as well. So I could also see this one going under. Correct score, 1-0, 2-0 for Spain. I could see it going that way. Team total, Belgium as a team total of 0.5, half a goal. If you go under that, get about a plus 140. That might be of some interest. Goal scorers in the game, Ferran Torres, I would watch for him. He's knocking on the door here, and he has scored in each of the last 3 tournaments. He will probably come in at some point. We saw De La Fuente put him in as a substitute in the match against Portugal, and he conspired with Mikel Merino, another guy off the bench, for the winning goal. I think Torres is overdue to score a goal. That would be one of my recommendations here. So it would be, first of all, I think probably the under at 2.5 goals. That would be my definite top choice here. Spain, I go ahead and do it at minus 154, 155. And Ferran Torres to score. I think that's not bad. Close to plus 200, plus 187, 190 or so. Not a bad price on Torres to get on the board, and Spain to advance to face France next week in Dallas. We'll talk about that, or if it's Belgium there, whoever. We'll talk about that matchup next week. Okay, don't forget, if you got a comment for me, hit the comment box on the screen there. Always love to hear from you. And don't forget that special deal we've got going right now. 3 days of my pick, $69. And we'll add 3 days on top of that. That's 6 days for $69. Okay, so until next time and more soccer talk, it's a goodbye from me.